All right.
And just walk.
First, walk and talk. Take us through your season. We're here in London. We've had the first. Well, you've got 3 points on the board, right?
I've got 3 scores on the board.
3 scores on the board. Yeah. What do you think? What are you feeling at?
I'd say I've got 2 good scores, 1 not so good score. At least for me, by my standard.
Expectation.
Yeah, expectation, and I think by the end it'd be great to have minimum 3 podiums heading into the grand final on the scoreboard. So obviously chasing after that here, and first place is, the fall off from first to second is big as well. So it would be helpful getting a first place, but also would be the best to save that for the grand final.
That would be cool indeed. I mean, it's for me, like mentally, I found it's like the hardest thing is cracking the code from second to first.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think you've done some big steps. You've changed your season planning. It's a new Sam Long. What have you done different?
Yeah, I agree. It's like, and you have to crack that code at multiple occasions, right? Like, first you crack it, okay, you're just trying to get on the podium when you first become a pro at a domestic race. Then you win the domestic races. Then you go, okay, time to do the international big races. And then it's like, whoa, suddenly you're in the top 10 again.
Yeah.
And you go, now on the podium. And now it's like, now really trying to win the world caliber fields. I think it's just honing in on the same process and just, farther down the path, right? Like, I don't think I'm doing or was doing anything wrong. It's just continuing to hone in on all the details, the training, the recovery. Yeah, I mean, the fundamentals, but making the fundamentals better.
So take us into your mind, like when you're at a race, before a race, like for me, I like had this big shift, right? Where I was thinking about winning and I just wanted to go there and I just wanted to win. Like, that's all I cared about. But then of course winning, like, you've got you, but you've got everyone else. So it's kind of a bad goal because you can only influence what the others are doing a little bit. So then later on I've switched to this kind of, you want to get better and be your best performance. And if you've got your best performance, believing in that being good enough for a win, right? Like, where do you stand with that? Are you focusing on the win? Are you focusing on yourself? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've done a similar journey. Like, some races, St. George, for example, this year, like, I went there and I pretty much knew I would win. And I was focused on myself.
Yeah.
But I was like, if I do what I need to do, I will win. These T100 races are a bit different because the caliber, the number of exceptional athletes.
Do you look at that? Like, do you look at the start list?
I mean, you don't even have to for these ones. I just know they always say, hey, what's the start? And to me, they're all pretty much the same because you might get 2 or 3 different names, but everyone's exceptional. Everyone's great. And for me, I feel we've seen the last 2 years, like, people just have exceptional days here and there. And so you got to be, I don't know that afraid's the word, but you got to be aware of everyone, right? Like, anyone can have that exceptional day, and Singapore is a great example. I felt I put out like almost, nice car there, I put out almost exactly the effort I thought I would within myself, and I thought that would win the race, but it didn't win the race.
Yeah.
But I'm mostly happy with that because I wanted to win and I fell just a bit short.
Yeah, fair enough. Looking at a little Italian racing car, Ferrari, I think. Is that ever any of your motivation? I mean, PDO is
getting a Ferrari?
Yeah, they've got big cash on the line, right? And for me, sport was a way of not being poor.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like, for me, it was the way out of changing my stars. Is that a big thing for you? Do you think about the money? Do you think about, like, caring as a dad for your family? I get that. But, like, do you have any material things attached to your career, or where are you at with that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess less about buying the material possessions, but I more think about, like, a future where when I retire, money's, like, not going to be a product. It's not going to be something that matters so much. I might have to still make some money here and there, but that,
dude,
hopefully...
how are you so mature, man?
I can
when
live
I was
the life
your age,
I want.
I just wanted a big, flashy racing car. And then, like, once I got it, I realized, okay, it's not that great. That's pretty mature. I mean, it's cool, like, seeking independence, right? Is that
totally.
What you're saying?
I mean, we did. You know, I was just able to buy my first house
of course.
off the sport.
You did. Still happy with it? Or you already need an upgrade?
No, I don't see us needing an upgrade for a while, but
Man, that's good.
That always happens, and that felt really cool because, yeah, I think our sport, hopefully we're going into the limelight of major sports, but for everyone but the top, it's tough to be able to buy your houses, to buy nice cars, to set up the future you want financially, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you're somebody you've been in the limelight, like since the very early days, right? Like you were always more known in the beginning, if I may say so, before your performance kind of was there, right? I mean, I think that's partly being American and Americans being desperate for the next Dave Scott or Mark Allen, that kind of traditional place. But you're also an outgoing guy. Like you find you're very honest. Do you struggle with that ever? Like being in the light and everybody coming out and having their 5 cents worth to say about you? Or do you just...
Yeah, I think the journey changes. I mean, I think, back when I first raced you, right? I kind of came on the limelight.
Collins Cup 2021.
Yeah, 2021.
How could we forget?
I'm a young bloke, I think, wow, I'm a big freaking stud. And everyone's hyping me up from the USA. And then you come out and you realize...
Dude, I
might be a stud, but he's the GOAT.
Oh man, that was funny. That was coming out. Yeah, of course. I mean, it was obviously, that was the format where we raced each other as nations as well, right? Or in a team format. And I'd obviously seen it before, and I guess you see it in a different perspective now, because you've matured as an athlete, for sure.
Totally different perspective. Like,
whereas
that race pointed out to me like how much I was struggling with getting everyone's 2 cents. And at the time I was getting everyone's 2 cents, like, you're a stud, you're a beast, you've got this, you're the best in the world. And then I realized, like, they're wrong about that. I've got a long ways to go. But then I kind of had a falling from grace, and I had kind of a tough year, and then everything turned negative. So then the same people that were giving me, you're a stud, you're gonna beat Jan, you're the best, so on and so forth, were then telling me, you suck, you're nothing, you're never gonna amount to anything, you should retire, you should quit. And then you realize, like, well, which one is it? Neither one's right. And then you just have to focus on yourself, right?
So how do you do it? You have like I have a circle of, like, say 5-6 people, maybe mom and dad, 7 and 8.
Yeah.
That, like, their opinion I value enough that I care and that I will change my ways, or that I will really consider it. And everyone else, it's not that I don't care, but it's like it's a steep drop off as to how much I care about their opinion. Is that similar for you, where you go and you realize, okay, these people, they're really not, it's not a constructive conversation. They're not trying to help me. They're just, getting their own shitty day out on the keyboard and being like, so. Well, how do you deal with it? How do you pick the people whose opinion you care about? Versus just let it go?
I think some of the people, they're just close friends. They're people you've been around a long time, and those people maybe have your best interest as a person at mind, like your mom or your dad, or my spouse, although she also is sometimes thinking about the career as well. And those people will give you advice like for your happiness and well-being as a person. And then there's some people you'll take advice with for career, racing decisions, and those people you got to look at like what their accolades are, what they've done, right? Like I talked to you after San Francisco, and you gave me what I thought was really good advice, and I look at you and I go, well, how many world championships do you have, right? And it's like those accolades point to advice being worthy, while if, again, no offense, but if Joe Smo 16-hour, 55-minute Ironman finisher gives me the advice on my schedule, you can't really take it, right?
Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, there's something in there, but there's also a lot to be said for actually taking advice and putting it in. So you mentioned that we spoke at San Francisco. You were about to head off to Australia, a mad travel, mad racing schedule. You've changed your ways, and we've talked about this. Like, for you, is that a way of, thinking, okay, this is a smart thing to do? Or is it the first time that you have the buy-in to allow yourself to believe that you can win? Because, I mean, it's a big step, right? I mean, we know Cam Worth.
Yeah.
We love Cam Worth.
Yeah.
Great guy. But to me, I'm like, he has the potential to be great in any of the many sports he practices.
Yeah.
But he doesn't commit, because that way he's always got something to fall around. That's the way I look at it from the outside, right? Whereas this is the opposite step. You're like, all right, I'm taking a risk. I'm all in. if it doesn't work, maybe I'll regret that choice, but
Yeah.
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Totally. And I think when I had to make that decision, it was like I had to look at my fear of failure, actually, was what I had to look at. Like, I'm afraid to commit to winning the T100 and failing.
Yeah.
And you want a way out. So you say, okay, well, I'm also going to chase Ironman and the Ironman Pro Series because, well, then if I was doing the Ironman Pro Series and I get third in the T100, well, it's because I was doing both, right? It gives me that way out. And I said, got to take that off the table, got to commit. And it's a bit scary doing that commitment, right? But
100%.
But it's powerful.
100%. Yeah, no, totally. But if you can deal with it and realize that I always like to say, like, pressure is a privilege, right?
Yeah.
Because you have worked hard. In the beginning, everybody thought, okay, you're the next best thing, and you don't work as much for that pressure because you just kind of draw people along with your character and your bubbly nature, and everybody's like, okay, cool, let's follow this guy.
Yeah.
Whereas, now you've earned your pressure.
Yeah.
You've worked hard for the fact that people expect for you to do well. You've worked hard for the fact that people think in San Francisco, you're only a minute behind, you're going to close that gap. And, it comes with highs and lows, but I think if you turn that pressure into something positive for you, then you're like, gee whiz, I've worked for this all my life.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where I want to be. And now I'm struggling to deal with it.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's forever. It's ping pong in your mind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just somebody, it's like two guys from ear to ear, just
Totally.
ding,
Totally.
playing ping
It's
pong.
like, this is where I wanted to be my whole life. I always wanted to be the best. Now I've got it right in front of me, and then you want to find like an escape hatch, right? And you have to say, no, I'm not opening that escape hatch. I'm doing this.
Yeah, because, I mean, in a way, once you commit in your mind also that winning is what you really want, there's little room to wiggle.
Exactly.
You're locked in. Right? So you're kind of locked in on a target, and then finding that way is, I think it's probably the last piece of the puzzle for you, right? Because I think in terms of the training, we know it's a continuous process.
Yep.
You're an extremely hard worker. You're smart enough that you're not getting long-term injuries.
Yep.
Touch wood. And, that kind of is one of the keys. But then mentally having that place, I saw you earlier, and you just had these dark, focused eyes. I was like, Jesus, this dude means business. He's here, he's not here to mess around. And like, you changed your outwards appearance earlier in the season. You had this pink and black, and kind of accepting that there's more. There's more than just the happy, hey, look, I'm everywhere.
Yeah, I realized the happy-go-lucky was only going to get me so far, right? Like, and to really get to that top step, like, you have to, that happy-go-lucky, it's great, it gets you somewhere, but like, there's a point in every race, you got to go somewhere extra, we all know it. Like, and the colors I was wearing, the kit I was wearing, enforced one vibe, and I was like, I gotta wear a persona that allows me to go somewhere else.
And I find that super admirable, dude, that you take that happy yo, and you're not like, no, that was then.
Yeah.
This is all gone. This is the new me. It's like, no, you actually realize this is a book and this is the next chapter.
Yeah.
So again, did you figure that out yourself, or are you working with anyone? Like psychologically or mentally, or?
I mean, the biggest is for sure the fiance always, right? They're always going to keep you in check. But while I coach myself, I do have a mental coach that I work with.
You coach yourself like completely? Swim, bike, run?
Yeah, completely.
Wow.
I mean, I shouldn't say the swim, I have a technique coach.
Okay.
And who also writes some of the sessions because we swim about 2-3 times a week together.
Yeah.
But otherwise, bike and run for now. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I won't lie, top of my list is your old coach, Dan the Ring. But I reached out to him actually like over a year ago, but at the time he couldn't take me on. And now things are going well, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think he took you on because things weren't getting well. It's Dan. I mean, he's managing a cycling team and a lot of athletes actually. So he's just.
Well, now it almost feels a bit weird because now he's got all the top athletes that you're like, okay, well, if I race him, he kind of knows everyone's abilities. It's like, well, especially in the women, it's like, hey, why don't we just ask Dan Lorraine who's going to win the women's race?
Yeah, that's definitely, here's some insight into training peaks that others wouldn't. Look at that, some wakeboarding for you to do after, after the race on the weekend. The way to get your arms tight. You said you're off to Italy next? Bit of rest and recovery, or are you going to put in some training?
I mean,
kind of have to train, right?
Kind of have to train.
The food's too good. Like you can't just chill out and then, like you just can't eat enough pizza otherwise.
Exactly. Especially we got her whole family there cooking for us every day, so it's like the big attack. You got to finish your training before lunchtime because those lunches are just too big, and so the family will enjoy. I mean, I'll enjoy good change of scenery, and I'll still be training hard. First time for the little man
to Italy?
Yeah, it's his first time out of the country actually. First time out of the country. Yeah.
He joins 4% of Americans statistically who own a passport, apparently.
That's it?
That's it, apparently.
Yeah.
Pretty big place. Very good, man. It's quite something seeing you progress and seeing you kind of mature to be a real contender in these races. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got up your sleeves for this weekend. Anyone particularly you're watching out for? Anyone you've got on your hit list first and foremost? Or is it just, as usual, a race to T1, smash out the biggest numbers you can think of?
I mean, you get certain people on your hit list, you know, who get you fired up. And I'm not going to say who or why or how. No, I'm not going to do it.
Just between you and I. Just between you and I, buddy. Come on, you tell me.
I won't say who or how or why. But some of those people are people I know I'll beat. I almost certainly know I'll beat, but they still get me fired up. And but other than that, yeah, I mean, I use those people to get me fired up to get the best out of myself to hopefully beat the people that matter.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I know you've come a long way, again, from walking out of interviews while being too much, having the pot stirred too much. But I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of honest that if you come out and you've got to have that person, right?
Yeah.
Like exactly. Simon Whitfield, if you remember, he was an Olympic champion in 2000. He always used to say, you do it for 98% of the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
2% is for the assholes of this world.
Yeah, and you know, you're like, come on, why is this, you know?
Yeah, but it's famous. I mean, you look at Michael Jordan, right? He always found a way to take things personal. And I did that as well. Like towards the end of my career, I looked for things and intentionally took them the wrong way. Exactly. Just to wind me up.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because you need it. You need it to get out there for the hard rides, to say, oh, I'm pushing 350 watts, but 350 is not going to cut it. I need 370 because this person said this. Yeah. You know? And then you get it done. Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, swim, bike, and run, you repeat what you do. You're in the pool. If it's short course, you're doing 200 laps a day. Yeah. When you go out on the bike, you're not doing a new loop. You got to find a stimulus every single time, exactly. Right? And going out, I mean, social media, everybody's out there all the time, so you're guaranteed to find some nugget. Just anything to take the wrong way. All right, last one for me. You spoke about Hell Month. Training, consistency, I mean, it's become such a thing, right, that we always consistently build upon. When you dub it Hell Month, take us into your thoughts. What do you do different to a not Hell Month? And what are you hoping to achieve? Yeah, that's a really good question. I suppose there's nothing that's really done different, ultimately. So maybe I shouldn't have called it Hell Month. No, that's great. I mean, whatever you need to get through. I think it's mostly called Hell Month because of the conditions I was doing it in, right? The peak of the summer, so it's hotter. Yeah. You got to wake up early. It was more like the mental. You're in Tucson, right? Yeah, in Tucson. It was more the discipline required to execute the training in the right way. But as far as like the exact sessions, because you can't just go, oh, I normally train 30 hours a week, now perfect, and that's really hard training and I'm on my ass doing 30 hours a week. Now I'm just going to do 40 because it's Hell Month. Like, that's an extra, over a month, 4 weeks, that's an extra 40 hours of training that you've never done before, and it's just going to break the body. So it's mostly the same, but just done in the heat and done with the focus of an intense focus right now of trying to win the T100.
Shake on that. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Sam, best of luck for
Thank you.
Sunday.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope that you win in European soil. Don't tell the rest of the field.
We will, and he will. This is why we love Sam, because he will tell everybody. That's what we need him to do.